Scroll number 2. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with 50 men. That was not a management decision. It was the source of his entire fortune. He said so himself. Every dollar he made, every deal he built, every company he grew, he traced it back to that group of minds working toward one aim, not one mind working alone, but 50 minds working together. The result was the largest steel operation in the world and a personal fortune no single man working alone could have assembled in 10 lifetimes. Most people never examine who is around them. They let proximity happen by accident. They let geography and convenience decide who shapes their thinking. They spend years inside conversations that confirm their limits rather than expand them. Every person in that circle is either raising the ceiling or lowering it. Every hour spent in the wrong company is an hour the ceiling came down a little further. Carnegie understood this at a level most people never reach. He did not let proximity happen to him. He built it deliberately, the way an architect builds a structure, with a purpose, with a plan, with every element chosen for what it would carry. Each of those 50 men brought something the others did not have. The group together could reach what no single member of it could reach alone. That was not philosophy. That was the engine. Carnegie ran it for decades and it never stalled. I've tried to build things alone. The plans that stalled because my own thinking was the only thinking in the room. The problems I circled for months that a single conversation with the right person resolved in an afternoon. The ideas I walked away from because no one around me had ever attempted anything like them. The ceiling was never the idea. The ceiling was always who I was in the room with. Carnegie did not stumble into those 50 men. He chose each one the way a builder chooses a load-bearing wall, for what it holds. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. Henry Ford started with nothing that could explain what he became. He had no formal education, no inherited money, no connections that should have opened the doors that opened for him. Within 10 years, he had cleared every early disadvantage. Within 25 years, he was one of the wealthiest men in America. The moment his rise became impossible to stop was the moment he became a close friend of Thomas Edison, then Harvey Firestone, then Luther Burbank, then John Burroughs. 4 minds, each exceptional in a completely different direction. Ford absorbed something from each of them, not just their knowledge, but their standard, the level at which they asked questions, the things they refused to accept as permanent limits. He did not become great and then find those people. He found those people and then became great. That is the sequence most people get permanently wrong. They wait until they have something to offer before they seek out minds greater than their own. But the growth comes from the seeking, not from the arrival. Being near a higher standard of thinking recalibrates your own without you noticing it happen. You stop accepting what you had accepted without question. You start asking what you had long stopped asking. The people Ford chose were not chosen for comfort or familiarity. They were chosen for the direction they pulled his thinking. That is the only standard that matters when you are building something real. Not whether someone agrees with you, but whether they make you larger. Carnegie did not keep those 50 men around him because he was generous. He kept them because he had learned what most people spend their entire lives avoiding. One mind has a ceiling built into it. A group of minds working in the same direction does not. When 2 people focus on the same problem in genuine harmony, something appears that neither mind held before they combined. A third possibility, an answer that could not have existed inside one head working alone. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. 2 minds working in harmony produce more than the sum of their parts. The difference is not addition. It is closer to multiplication. That is not a belief. That is how every large thing in history got built. No cathedral, no company, no movement that required more than one lifetime was ever built by a single mind working in isolation. This truth carries a cost. Accepting it means accepting that my limits are not fixed by my own capacity alone. They are shaped by who I allow near me. That is harder to sit with than most people want. It is easier to believe that effort alone determines the outcome. Effort is necessary. But effort aimed through one mind has the ceiling of that mind already built into the first day of work. The resistance I feel toward depending on others is familiar. Feels like losing control. What it is actually protecting is a smaller version of what is possible. Carnegie did not control those 50 minds. He aligned them toward one purpose and let the combined intelligence of the group exceed anything he could have produced alone. Alignment is a completely different skill from control. It produces a completely different result. I look at who surrounds me now with different eyes. Every person I give my hours to is either expanding what I believe is possible or quietly confirming that less is enough. This is not a judgment about anyone. It is an observation about how proximity works on a mind over time. We absorb the thinking of the people we are near, not through effort, not through intention, but through time and repeated exposure. Carnegie knew this. Ford lived it. The evidence of what it produces is not subtle or hidden. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. I choose deliberately now, not with Carnegie's scale, but with his awareness. The questions I ask myself are the same questions he must have asked. Who is raising my thinking? Who is quietly confirming my limits without either of us noticing? Who asks the questions I would not have arrived at alone? A plan made by one mind has the ceiling of that mind built into it from the beginning. A plan made by aligned minds working toward one purpose has no ceiling I can calculate from where I stand. This is not comfort. This is a direction, and it is the only direction that has ever produced anything worth building at scale. I choose aligned minds. I choose deliberate proximity. I move toward the people whose thinking makes mine larger, and I stay near them long enough for it to work. That is the only investment Carnegie never questioned. Not the steel mills, not the deals. The minds around him, those he chose with more care than anything else. The seeking is the beginning. The beginning is now. What neither of us reaches alone, we reach together. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. Together we reach what neither reaches alone. Together we reach what neither reaches alone.